Someone hurt you, and even now, you're still carrying it. You take it with you into quiet moments, into conversations, even into rooms where no one has any idea what's going on inside your head. And the worst part? The person who hurt you has already moved on. They're laughing somewhere, living their life, while you're stuck replaying the same words, the same moment, over and over again. Most people think the solution is to be strong, to ignore it, to act like it doesn't matter, but that's exactly what keeps the pain alive. We were never really taught how to deal with emotional hurt the right way. We either suppress it, explode because of it, or stay trapped in it. But there is a smarter way to handle this. A way that doesn't just help you cope, you actually helps you heal, grow, and take your power back. And it starts with understanding what's really happening inside you. First, let's be clear about something what you felt was real. The hurt, the disappointment, the feeling of being disrespected or overlooked, none of that is something you should dismiss or minimize. Too often, people tell themselves to get over it or assume they're being too sensitive, but that only invalidates their own experience. Pain is not a weakness, it's a signal. It tells you that something mattered to you, that something crossed a line. Ignoring it doesn't make you stronger, it just pushes the feeling deeper. The moment you acknowledge your pain without judgment is the moment you begin to take control of it. Most people don't realize that the way they deal with emotional pain is actually making things worse. Some choose to avoid it entirely, distract themselves, stay busy, scroll endlessly, or pretend everything is fine. Others swing to the opposite extreme. They cut people off immediately, react with anger, or carry resentment for years. And then there are those who stay stuck in silence, hoping things will somehow fix themselves. None of these approaches truly heal the pain. Avoidance delays it, overreaction amplifies it, and silence traps it. These patterns feel natural because they're common, but they don't solve the problem, they just change how the pain shows up later. When someone hurts you, two things happen at the same time. The first is the actual event, the words they said, the action they took, the moment that caused the pain. That part is real and cannot be undone. But the second part is what you do with that pain afterward, and that's where everything changes. This is where most people get stuck, not because they're weak, but because they've never been shown how to respond differently. If you replay it, avoid it, or build your identity around it, the pain grows. But if you learn to process it, understand it, and respond intentionally, the same experience can actually make you stronger. The situation may be out of your control, but your response is not, and that's where your power truly begins. Running from emotional pain might feel like the easiest option, but it often creates a much bigger problem over time. Think of it like a small cut on your skin. If you cover it up without cleaning it, it may look fine on the surface, but underneath it's getting worse. The same thing happens when you suppress your feelings. You go about your day, you smile, you functioned, but the pain is still there, building quietly. And then one day, something small happens, and suddenly you feel overwhelmed in a way that doesn't seem to match the situation. That reaction isn't about the present moment, it's everything you've been avoiding finally surfacing at once. Suppressed emotions don't disappear, they accumulate. And the longer you avoid them, the heavier they become. Instead of running from your emotions, the real work begins when you allow yourself to fully experience them. That doesn't mean losing control, it means giving yourself permission to feel what's already there. Sit with it, turn off the distractions, take a few moments where you're not trying to fix anything or escape anything. If you feel hurt, acknowledge it. If you feel anger, let it exist without immediately reacting. If you feel sadness, allow yourself to process that loss. You can even set a small window of time, 20 or 30 minutes to just be present with your emotions. What you'll notice is that when you face them honestly, they begin to soften. Emotions move when they are acknowledged. They get stuck when they are ignored. Feeling your pain isn't what keeps you trapped, it's what begins to set you free. One of the hardest truths to accept is that you cannot talk someone into treating you better. You can explain yourself clearly, communicate your feelings honestly, and give them every opportunity to understand, but none of that guarantees change. Words alone don't create transformation. People change when there are real consequences tied to their behavior, not just conversations about it. When someone hurts you and nothing in your behavior shifts, they subconsciously learn that their actions are acceptable, not because they're right, but because nothing changed. This is where many people get stuck, waiting for the perfect conversation that will fix everything. But change doesn't come from saying more, it comes from doing differently. And understanding that truth can save you a lot of time, energy, and emotional frustration. At the end of the day, behavior speaks louder than any explanation ever could. You can say all the right things, set expectations, and express your feelings clearly, but if your actions don't change, nothing really shifts. People pay attention to what you tolerate, not just what you say. When your behavior stays the same, it sends a message that access to you hasn't changed either. But the moment your actions shift, when you stop overgiving, stop being constantly available, and start prioritizing your own time and you change the dynamic. You don't need to argue, convince, or explain endlessly. Quiet, consistent behavioral change creates clarity. It shows others how to treat you, without needing a long conversation to justify it. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away, it's about protecting your sense of self. Too often, people think boundaries have to be dramatic or confrontational, but in reality, the strongest boundaries are quiet and consistent. It can be as simple as not responding immediately, not rearranging your life for someone who wouldn't do the same, or choosing not to engage in situations that drain you. Boundaries are not punishment, they are self-respect in action. When you reduce access to your time, your energy, and your emotional availability, you begin to value yourself differently, and others notice that shift. The right people will respect your boundaries, even if they don't fully understand them at first. The wrong people will resist them, and that resistance tells you everything you need to know. Not every negative comment stays with you, but some do, and those are the ones worth paying attention to. The reason certain words hurt more than others isn't just because they were said, but because they touched something that already existed inside you. Maybe it's a doubt you've carried quietly, or a fear you've never fully addressed. When someone's words align with that internal insecurity, they feel heavier, more personal, and harder to shake off. It's not that they created the one, they simply exposed it. And while that can be uncomfortable to admit, it's also where real growth begins. Because once you recognize that connection, you shift the focus away from them and back to yourself, and that's where real change becomes possible. Real self-respect isn't something you think your way into it, it's something you build through consistent action. It comes from doing small things every day that align with who you want to become. That might mean keeping promises to yourself, finishing tasks you've been avoiding, learning something new, or simply showing up even when you don't feel like it. Every time you follow through, you're sending a message to yourself, I can trust me, and that trust becomes the foundation of your confidence. When your sense of worth comes from your own actions instead of someone else's approval, it becomes much harder for anyone to shake you. You don't need validation as much because you already know your value. And over time, that quiet, internal strength changes how you carry yourself and how others treat you. Sometimes, the reason we get hurt so deeply is not just because of what someone did, but because of how quickly we allowed them into our lives. We shared too much, trusted too fast, and gave emotional access before it was truly earned. This doesn't mean you did something wrong, it means you were open, genuine, and willing to connect. But not everyone deserves that level of access right away. When people are given closeness without having to prove consistency or care, they may not value it the way you do. Learning to slow down and observe before fully opening up isn't about becoming guarded, it's about being intentional with your trust. Think of your life like a house with different rooms, each representing a level of trust and emotional access. The front porch is for casual interactions, people you meet, acquaintances, or those you don't know well yet. The living room is for people you're comfortable with, where conversations are a bit more personal but still balanced. The kitchen is where trust begins to deepen. These are people who have shown consistency and care over time. And then there's the most private space, the inner room reserved only for those who have truly earned your trust through their actions, not just their words. The mistake many people make is taking someone from the front porch straight into their most private space too quickly. Building healthy relationships means letting people move through these rooms gradually. Not everyone needs full access, and that's not rejection, it's self-respect. Not everyone deserves a close place in your life, and one of the most important skills you can develop is learning how to choose wisely. A simple but powerful question can guide you. How do I feel after spending time with this person? Do you feel energized, respected, and understood? Or do you feel drained, small, or confused? Your emotional response is data, it tells you. whether someone belongs closer to you or at a distance. Too often, people ignore these signals because they want the connection to work. But the truth is, the right relationships don't leave you constantly questioning your worth. They feel steady, safe, and mutual. Being selective isn't about becoming cold or distant, it's about honoring your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. The quality of your life is deeply shaped by the people you allow into it. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood concepts when it comes to emotional healing. It does not mean what happened was okay. It does not mean you have to forget, and it certainly does not mean you need to let that person back into your life. True forgiveness is not about them, it's about you. It's about deciding that you are no longer going to let what they did control how you feel today. Because every time you replay the pain and it affects your mood, your peace, or your ability to trust again, you are still giving that moment power over your present. Forgiveness is how you take that power back. It's a conscious decision you make, often more than once, to release the emotional grip of the past. Some days it will feel easy, other days it won't, and that's okay. Healing isn't linear, but every time you choose to let go, even a little, you move closer to a place where the memory no longer weighs you down. That's real freedom. Being hurt is part of life, but staying stuck in that pain doesn't have to be. The way forward isn't about pretending you're okay or waiting for someone else to fix what happened. It's about taking ownership of your healing, step by step. First, you allow yourself to feel what's real instead of running from it. Then, you begin to change your behavior, understanding that actions speak louder than words. You invest in yourself, building self-respect through what you do every day, not what others say about you. You become more intentional about who you let into your life, protecting your energy and your inner space. And finally, you learn to let go, not because they deserve it, but because you do. These 5 principles aren't quick fixes, but they are powerful shifts that can change how you experience pain and how you grow from it. So start small. Take one step, to whether it's sitting with your emotions, setting a boundary, or choosing not to revisit the past. That one step is how everything begins to change.